Slightly after 4 p.m., we dropped off the park rangers and set sail through the inside passage en route to Ketchikan.
When I was a child and I lived in the city, I dreamed of Alaska, so far away, and I dreamed I was flying over mountains and glaciers. Somehow I knew that I'd live there one day. Well, it took me some growing and a fair bit of schooling, a little bit of trouble to get on the move, and I felt like a loser, but I turned out the winner when it came to Alaska, the land that I love. Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. I was born in a cabin on...
Dan has spent his whole adult life up here commercial fishing. He did not plan on it turning out that way, but that's the way it did. Kind of like all of us, I think it kind of just happens. Anyway, he's here to share those life experiences with you. He also worked for me for 5 years in the Bering Sea on a boat I had.
It's got a machine down with a 3-degree table. So when that line goes in there, just the weight of that pot scoops it up in there. And then you can, right up inside there, you can see those ships. So you can, if you want to haul a bigger diameter line, you can add a couple of them. I tell you, they came up with these power haulers like this. I mean, it changed the river, not just craft, it's commercial.
Raised in hard times, but I had a good life. From the first time I flew with my father a-singing, I knew that I'd wind up a bush pilot's wife. We sleep near the sound of a slow-running river and wake up most mornings to a drizzling rain. And we live every day like the first or the last one, with nothing to lose and heaven to gain.
170 miles an hour. I mean, it was blowing over 100 miles an hour out on the fishing grounds. And a large portion of that Bering Sea crab fleet, this boat right here included, got caught out in that storm. I mean, there was about 160 boats out there, and they were hanging on for dear life. Now, what happened on the Shannon Marie on this night, you can imagine this boat right here. You know, you got 40 to 50 foot seas out there. This boat comes riding up the face of one of these 50-footers, and as she nears the top of that wave broke, and it basically pushed this boat right over on her side, just dumped her down on her side. Now, this boat laid over far enough, and it stayed there long enough that all the oil ran out of the bellies of those main engines down there. And they lost oil pressure, and they automatically shut down. Up forward here, where you find these fabulous restrooms today, that is where the generators were mounted for this boat, the power plant. Same thing happens up forward there. Boat lays over, all the oil runs out of the bellies of those generators, and now they've also shut down for lack of oil pressure. So here we are. We've got the Shannon Marie laid on her side, dead in the water, 50-foot seas, 100-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, things are going bad on the Shannon Marie at this point. Does that allow us to put crab into the tank? But it also allows that water that we're pumping up into the bottom to basically just boil right out the top. We need to keep fresh, oxygenated seawater to those crabs at all times. That's what keeps those crabs alive down there. But when those generators went down, those pumps also shut down. So there's no longer any water being fed up into these tanks. And with this boat laying on her side like she was, and those hatch covers wide open, thousands of gallons of water come dumping right out the top. They've got these things zipped up tight, they got these hoods over their heads, and it's not easy to work with one of these suits on. But they get that life raft out over the side, they get her up alongside the boat, and fortunately there's a boat nearby, and he hears that call for distress. So he calls back and he, Shannon Marie, you know, I got you here. I got your position written down. Basically, hang on, buddy. I'm coming for you. So now those men need to get off the Shannon Marie and into that life raft. I can't even imagine what it must have been like at that point. 50-foot seas, 100-mile-an-hour winds. This boat is bouncing up and down. That life raft is bouncing up and down. But somehow all 5 of those men got off of the Shannon Marie and they got into that life raft. If another boat shows up, and like I said, 50-foot seas, it's quite a challenge to get up next to that raft, but somehow he does it. I tell you, that's an amazing feat in itself right there. Now, you folks need to take it easy on Andy here today, you know. It's early, he's old.
Who wants to hear me squeal like a girl?
Yeah.
Let's get those hooks
I don't
up
know if you
here.
folks that can see this buoy, you can see how that current is running on that thing. There's only about 3 men in the entire world that could make this shot.
John, we got one of them on board.
That's right. Bam! Fish on! Don't let it pull you over the side there.
Don't you let it pull me.
All right, we're in.
Okay.
Looks like we're right over the top of it here. Coming in. Okay, yeah, it's right up against the side of the boat going straight down. All right, it popped loose now. Now it's right up against the side of the boat, leading hard to the stern. I've let Derek know where this line is in relation to the boat right here. Normally, we would have controls, not only for the hydraulics, but also to run the boat. You'd be hauling gear, driving the boat from right here. All right, it's coming away from the boat now. Looking good. And you can see with these big tides, all this debris in the water. Hooks coming. These big tides floats all that stuff up off the beach. Haywire. Now normally, we're going to have, say, 150 tubs. 75 hooks on every one of those tubs all baited up. Now we're going to tie them in strings of 25. So that means we're going to tie 25 tubs, one into the next. Now we've only got room up on the rail here, up on the setting chute, for 2 or 3 tubs at one time. So that means as these hooks are peeling out, one man's job is to grab that next tub in line, he packs it up, ties it into the tub in front of him, and then he hustles back and he gets the next one. And he is hustling. You don't want to run out of tubs. Unfortunately, in all that hustle, sometimes mistakes are made. I've seen it happen. The tails get tied together backwards. Sometimes they get crossed up. Once in a while, one of these hooks will actually fall down into that tub. Now, if I've got a hook down in the bottom of that tub and I don't see it, I'm standing here like this. My hands are right over the top of these hooks. That hook, when it comes tight, what it's going to end up doing, it'll catch that line from the bottom. And it'll just rip all those hooks right up on out of that belting. I mean, that tub will literally explode right up underneath your wrist. Now, we already talked about these bead hooks a little bit. That hook right there will pick a 400-pound fish up off the bottom of the ocean floor. If it gets a hold of you, set gear over there at the rail, and unfortunately it does happen, it'll rip you right over the side of the boat. Now, we don't want that to happen this morning, but
No, we don't.
if it does, you want to be ready.
You're gonna have
Just a
some.
second here, you guys.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some.
You wouldn't
good
want to miss
footage.
that photo opportunity. I've seen all kinds of things happen. You know, setting gear in rough weather out there. I've seen these tubs slide together before. And what'll happen is the hooks from one tub will grab the hooks on another tub. Next thing you know, you've got 3 tubs firing out right underneath your nose. Now, when things go haywire like that, you're not going to fix it. You just get back and let it go. You just want to make sure you don't get hung up in that mess. You can straighten it out when you're hauling it back aboard and you've regained control of that gear. All right.
Okay, let her
Let
go.
her rip in.
There we go.
Just like that. That's a rockfish. These are rockfish, actually. Oh, get over here, buddy. Now these are both, well, I guess that looks like, no, they're both quillbacks. These are both quillback rockfish. And this is just one of 40 different species of rockfish we have here in Alaska. They're all very good eating fish. If you go up to one of our local restaurants and you order rockfish or snapper off of the menu, you're going to get one variety or other of this bugger right here. Now you can see these big sharp spines up here on their dorsal fin. They've all got those. They're needle sharp. There's also big spines up here in the gill plates, up here in the pectoral fins. And those spines are venomous. Now it's not enough venom to kill you, but I promise you it will enhance the experience. And it is an unpleasant one. Anybody that has spent any amount of time on the deck of a fishing boat knows just what it feels like to get one of those spines in your hand. I've seen guys actually, to get one of these fish laid on deck, that guy will give that fish a kick to get it out of the way. These spines are sharp enough and they are strong enough to go right through the side of your boot. I've seen it happen. A smart man only does that once. Actually, a smart man probably doesn't do it at all. But oh, look at that. Where'd you find him?
Yeah, let's do
That was
this
it.
show.
I'm always prepared.
I got this.
Just in case, I brought an extra fish here today. Now, these fish right here, unfortunately, we want to release everything we catch here today over the side unharmed, if at all possible. But these rockfish, they've got an air bladder. And you can see how his eyes are popping out right there. That's not because he's surprised. That is because of the extreme pressure change. You know, these fish, when they come up out of about 120 feet of water, which is where we haul that gear out of, they're unable to expel that air in that bladder fast enough to compensate for the pressure change. That bladder expands and unfortunately it's damaged beyond repair. But these fish will not go to waste because we need crab bait to hopefully catch these crabs that we're going to share with you folks here this morning. And these fish make excellent crab bait. You get that blood bleeding out into the water there, those crabs come for miles. So they do have a future. But unfortunately, just like Andy here, it just ain't looking that bright.
Keep an eye on that nest, everybody up there too. You'll see one of the adults come back with a fish, and that juvenile pop his head up. There's still room up on top here too, right next to me in the wheelhouse.
Way better pictures upstairs.
On the rail.
All you folks in the back here, way better photos upstairs. You're gonna get a better view.
Now the fish that I'm tossing out over the side, these are herring, Pacific herring. Now this is a very familiar food source for these birds. These herring actually come up
You
into
can see the juvenile sitting up there in the nest.
Now this is Annette Island we're looking at, home to the Sipshean. We are in the Annette Island Reserve waters now.
Juvenile, he's getting exponentially bigger every day. It's amazing watching him.
bugs for you. Look at this little guy right here. What's he doing in there? Now this is what we call a cone pot, or a dome pot. Little octopus there, we'll throw him in the tank.
We'll talk more about him later.
Now this crab pot right here, the way these crabs are gonna get into this thing, they're gonna crawl up the outside here basically, you know, doop-de-doop-de-doo, I smell lunch. They go right in the top, and that is the entry point. Now the way we're going to get the crabs out of this pot, normally we'll actually keep that hook right in the bridle. We'll keep that pot suspended in the air. So the two men on deck, they're going to grab that thing, you're going to swing it over the sorting table, and you let go of this pucker string right here. That allows the whole bottom of this thing to open up. Those crabs fall right out the bottom onto the table for you. Now once you've got the crabs out and the bottom open, the nice thing about this style pot is that they will stack very nicely, one right on top of each other. So if you've got a smaller vessel, you know, you might have limited deck space aboard that boat, you might choose this style of crab pot simply because you can stack more gear on the deck of that boat. Now what I have here, I know it looks like a rock, but this is a box crab, B-O-X box. Now we're going to let you folks hold these guys. Everyone's going to get to hold the crab if you want to. The way you hold them is just like that. Right from behind. You can see if you hold them gently, they will open up for you. They do have pinchers, so be careful. Now if one of them gets a hold of you, panic. No, don't panic. Your first instinct's going to be to rip your finger out of there. I tell you, they'll apply a little pressure, but they will release. So we're going to drop the chains here.
Yes. Yeah, you're just gonna, you know, anywhere in there he can't reach through there. Perfect.
Crab, they can sense that feeding frenzy. Kind of like Andy at the buffet.
Okay, let her go.
Ready, Andy? Here we go. Just like that. Get her out away from the boat.
We can do that right now.
No, we're going to slow her down for Andy. Oh, look at that. Get it. Grab that guy. Ah! Man. Ah, well, we missed a big one. Look at that. Man. Now those octopus, they love to eat crabs.
For you those who couldn't see, there was a giant octopus hanging on the side of that pot.
Now, these crabs right here, I tell you, you can see what he's done. That octopus has just been feasting on these guys. Now these crabs right here, they've got a serious anger management problem. We're not going to pass these guys out. Yeah, they'll hold right on to you. Look at that, glove on and everything. Look at that, just like a big old rainbow he throws out there. You ain't gonna get away with that one at 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Like a laser. Yay for the old guy.
All right, now, these are your golden Alaskan king crab. Now this pot right here, this is the workhorse of the Bering Sea. There are more pots of this size and style out there than any other. This pot is 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet, and it weighs 750 pounds. So the first thing we need to do is we need to secure that pot. See these hydraulic dogs? We're going to bring those dogs on and grab a hold they lock it down. Then we're going to bring that pot up. Then the men, you're going to move in. You're going to undo these door straps. You're going to grab the front of the, look at that little bugger. He's a keeper. That's a kelp crab. Oh, and a prawn. A land of plenty. Oh, yeah. Ride the rail. All right. Now once we've got that door open, we're going to bring that pot up. Right? That's how we're going to dump the crabs out of this thing. Now, you do not want to get caught standing out in front of this pot, not paying attention. I've seen it happen a number of times out there. Pot comes up, one of the dogs lets go, and a 750-pound pot comes tumbling out of the top of that launcher right there. So once we have the crabs out, we're going to bring that thing back down. And now this is where the men are going to move in. You're going to get the bait out of the pot, and more often than not, we're going to tie the lines of buoys up, fire it up inside that thing, and then you stand that pot of it. Now this is where you better be fired up. Because you're going to take that 750-pound crab pot, you're going to get up in behind it like a football sled, and you're going to drive it to the stern of the boat. And then you're going to bust on back here, and bam, there's the next one. You're going to drive that one into the next one.
Avery, it's hard surfacing. That's the one right there. If it gets a hold on your knuckle, it'll break your knuckle. Apply enough pressure to do that. They eat a lot of clams, mussels, scallops. They crush the shell open with that. Their smaller claws called their feeder claw. That's how they eat everything, or their steak knife, cut everything up, feed themselves. Now, once a year, these crabs, they go through a molt. The shell is 85% calcium. Right now, it's calcified, it's hard. Once a year, it comes off. Right now, these kind of like that. Not quite like that. Sort of. And then underneath there, the red stuff. That's a brand new shell growing in there right there is what it is. This crab was already dead.
Yes.
The lady's like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that to a live crab. Yeah.
An octopus or something right got in there, got a hold of him. But that brand new shell's growing underneath there. When they're harder like this, 25% of their body weight is meat. They atrophy when they go through that cycle of molting. They drop down to less than 10% of their body weight of meat. They basically use all their muscle and consume it to go through that process. Then they're just like a big bowl of jello. They're like that, they're walking across the bottom. So they come together. They come together in groups as big as this boat. They photograph them 30, 40 feet high on the bottom of the ocean, moving together in unison for protection from predators. They feed on everything in front of them. Basically like locusts going across the bottom of the ocean. The shell's hardened up.
Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me.
Probably 50 or so salmon in that one pin just diving at that. Oh, there's another seal right there. Just dipped in.
Sometimes I think he knows. He's kind of a ham. Well, good afternoon, everyone. To that right side, and it just continued to grow. And it grew out to the point where she couldn't even close her mouth anymore. So she's actually a really good little hunter, but she wasn't able to eat any of the prey that she was catching due to that beak deformity. So while she's in captivity, we do the maintenance for her. About every other month or so, we pick Sunny up, we use a small Dremel tool and an emery board, and we reshape her lower beak. We can't fix her jaw, that'll never be perfect, but as long as we keep her beak maintained, she can eat normally and preen normally, take care of her feathers. I love her. So some owls are nocturnal, but most actually aren't. And so one of the ways you can tell is by the color of their eyes. The lighter their eyes, more often than not, they're mostly, awesome word, called crepuscular.
Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. Oh, here's to Alaska and me.
The weather finally cleared shortly after we docked, and we enjoyed the clear skies for the remainder of the day.